Welcome back to part 2 of the biggest forehand mistakes disc golfers make. If you missed part 1, we strongly recommend checking it out first, as it provides a great foundation for what we're going to be talking about in part 2. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the 5 remaining forehand mistakes disc golfers make. The 6th forehand mistake we see disc golfers make is always facing the target. A common mistake we see is players keeping the front of their body facing the target throughout the entire throw. This can lead to over-relying on arm strength and all sorts of other issues. While it's a good idea to face the target directly when starting your throw, your body position should transition sideways or perpendicular to the target. Basically, your back foot should move to a 90-degree position from the target, while your front foot should remain flared out towards the target. Not to mention, your shoulders, core, and hips should coil away from the target, which we'll talk about more shortly. Then, after you release the disc, your body should finish facing the target with your weight on your front foot, since you've allowed your hips, core, and shoulders to come through. Now, to better comprehend the proper body position to do a forehand throw, let's go back to that idea of throwing a baseball. When you attempt to throw a baseball to someone who's relatively far away, here's what your body naturally tends to do. You first start by facing the target. Then, as you begin the throw, you shuffle forward and wind up by turning your left shoulder and core away from the target. And just as you're about to release the ball, you finish by shifting your weight into your plant foot and upper front thigh, which is flared out towards the target. So if you've ever played baseball or just thrown a ball far to someone else, you naturally already know how to set your body up to throw a proper forehand. We understand that explaining this tip might not be the easiest to implement, but luckily our next tip should really help greatly with this. Now for the 7th forehand mistake disc golfers make, not using your opposing arm. A valuable technique often observed among professionals is the use of their offhand to guide the disc into the optimal position before releasing it. What may not be immediately noticeable is that this action allows the shoulders to turn away from the target as one, effectively coiling your upper torso and positioning it for a powerful follow through. Additionally, it creates the necessary space for the disc to travel through. Now, once you're in this coiled position and are ready to release the disc, you are then going to perform an action of opening a curtain with your left arm. The concept of opening a curtain is a great visual representation, illustrating how you should come through and use your shoulders as one cohesive unit. As your opposing arm starts to open the curtain, your throwing arm follows suit, engaging your shoulders and core as a single entity to generate maximum power. While it's not necessary to solely focus on opening the curtain with your left arm, it at least gives you the right idea to engage your hips, core, and shoulders as one cohesive unit coming through. Instead, just focus on that offhand remaining on the disc during the run-up before you start to follow through. It just sets you up in the most natural way to do a powerful forehand. This excellent idea actually comes from the YouTube channel Overthrow Disc Golf, and if you haven't yet checked them out, be sure to do so. They got some great content. Now moving on to the 8th forehand mistake disc golfers make, standing tall throughout the throw. Standing tall throughout your forehand throw hinders your ability to engage your lower half, which is where the majority of your power actually comes from. When you watch professionals execute forehand throws, you'll notice that they start in a standing position, but they quickly shuffle their legs forward into a more crouched or athletic stance, and they finish with their entire weight being shifted forward onto their plant foot and upper thigh. This shuffle, skip, or hop is crucial in gaining power, since it enables you to drive your weight forward into the disc, engaging the power of your leg and hip muscles. Now, you'll notice that we mentioned shuffle, skip, or hop forward, which are all different ways to utilize your legs and hips to deliver power into the disc. There really isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, and you shouldn't try to mimic a specific form or focus on precise timing. Instead, just focus on a rhythm that feels the most comfortable and natural for you. For example, I prefer the shuffle for forehand throws because it's what naturally came to me. You may find that a technique like the dissect and hop works best for you, so it's a good idea to try a few out. The main idea is to shift your weight into your plant foot while maintaining a low and forward driving position towards the target. As you plant your foot and drive the disc forward, you should feel some tension in your upper thigh just above the knee. Now, of course, if your knee hurts, it probably means you're crouching a little bit too low. You should also avoid stopping your body right after you release the disc, because we notice this tends to create some injuries, especially in your back. Instead, you should let your opposing leg come through with your hips, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later. Of course, if you're new to forehands, begin by doing standstills before incorporating a shuffle, skip, or hop. Get the basics down before trying to increase power. Now, one way to understand the proper position for driving a distance forehand is to imagine your disc is a stone and you're trying to skip it across water. Recall how you position your body when doing this as a kid. You were lightly crouched, you shifted your weight from your back leg to your front, you aimed low and at the ground about 20 feet out or so, and you kept your arm parallel to the water to get a good rock skip. Experiment with it and see if it enhances your forehand technique. Moving on to the 9th forehand mistake disc golfers make, bringing the disc too far back. Many disc golfers make the mistake of winding up their arm too far back or high above their head before throwing. This not only creates an awkward swing plane for the follow through, but it also makes you rely too much on your arm to generate power, which is incorrect and can lead to injury. The disc should remain relatively stationary until you begin clearing your hips and driving the disc forward. We'll talk about this more in the next tip. Therefore, to get more distance, the bigger the step on your last stride is, the bigger the reach back will be. But remember, you're not actually reaching back. Now, it's hard to grasp this concept, and the best way to teach it to you is to take any kind of stationary object around you, like a pole, tree, or wall. You want to place the back of your throwing wrist against the object. And as you move forward into the shot, your final step before the throw, your wrists and disc should stay against the object, creating that separation or reach back effect, even though you aren't physically reaching back. By practicing this technique, you'll enhance your forehand throw and minimize the risk of injury while generating more power and control in your shots. Now for the 10th and final forehand mistake disc golfers make, not following through and clearing your hips. If you find that you're consistently throwing sky-high forehand shots, it's possible that you're slightly leaning back when releasing the disc, even though your weight is shifted forward into your front foot and upper thigh. To rectify this, focus on your final step, or power step as some call it. As your front foot lands, initiate the swing by rotating your hips and torso towards the target. This rotational power transfer will flow from your hips to your arm and ultimately to the snap of the disc. A great practice technique for improving your follow through is to step forward with your opposing foot after releasing the disc. While it may seem unusual at first, stepping forward with your opposing foot helps your body understand how to engage your hips, torso, and shoulders while transferring your weight forward. Don't hesitate to let that opposing leg come through. It prevents injury and it also helps with that weight transfer. So when you put it all together and you begin that weight transfer starting from your hips, torso, and then shoulders, your arm is the last thing to come through, finishing with that final snap of the wrist that we talked about in part 1. Well, there you have it. Those are the biggest forehand mistakes disc golfers make. We sincerely hope that you're able to improve your forehands with these 2 videos. And if so, be sure to share it with other people so they can improve as well. As always, we greatly appreciate the JustDisc community. Subscribe if you haven't already, give us a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.